And welcome back to our next portion of our Dungeons Chaos playthrough. This is going to be the last portion for our Guild Quest Saga, and it's for the Exorcist. Now, I'm standing in the Valley North, right in front of the village that you would first enter when you come into the valley. And so we're going to go ahead and enter the town. And it's a pretty quaint little place. A couple of farmers. Not that big of issue here. It's been mostly spared from the chaos that has been the wars in the valley. But we were told to come up here from the pub keep in the raided city when we spoke to about an exorcist. We also found out about an exorcist via the elves when we had to go talk to the druids in the Druids Cove, find out who their ally was that put the magical barrier up around the valley. And so we're actually going to go speak with him. But coming into here, this is going to be like a little infirmary. And if we speak to Rarick, he tells us about Altolus and how to find him. Now he's going to be in the church. And there's going to be a secret passage behind the wall that is fake. Now this town is fairly small, so the church is easy to find. It's just right over here. Looks like any of the other churches. It does have a little sign on it. Sunday service, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. But if you go in here, nobody's here, but this wall looks slightly different. So if we go ahead and we can either do it with a wizard's eye and walk past it if you have enough high enough perception, or if you're not picking it up, you can certainly go ahead and search the area and it will tell you that location. And it leads to a staircase, it leads to another staircase, that leads to another staircase. That leads to yet another staircase. That leads to another staircase. That leads to a room that has the same magical barrier that is stopping the valley from being, or the evil in the valley from going elsewhere. But he expected us a little earlier, which is kind of interesting. Now, without doing the guild quest, he does just outright train exorcism skills. And the only one that can learn this is our priest or cleric, if you have that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just put that at the next level proficiency, just so we have it. It does quite a bit of damage, like an outright skill. But we're going to go ahead and do the guild quest here. Now, we're destined to fight the forces of evil using specialized magic skills and also directly with weapons. Now, we have to defeat 10 ghouls in the battlefield below the church. Now, what he means by this is when we were speaking with the elves, they told us about a great war, and the dead littered the valley, and they just kind of buried everything on top. And now there's a whole bunch of dirt crevices and passages underneath the valley that is just riddled with dead. And Altolus here has actually been trying to mend those wounds of that war and trying to go down into these tunnels and kill off the undead so that they can rest in peace and that there's not a evil looming underneath the valley any longer. Now with the quest, we can go ahead and we can go down here after we unlock the gates, which will be fairly easy. And then any one of these 4 passages will actually generate a random dungeon. It says, remember the story that the Exorcist told you feel very uneasy being sandwiched between mud, rock, corpses, and whatever else remains in the ancient battlefield. So we're going to wander around here and kill the ghouls that we need. We need 10 of them so we can complete the quest. We'll go ahead and get light casted back up and get Wizard's Eye back onto full, in case there's any passages we do need to find. A lot of these are just going to be an open expanse. A lot of walking. We should run into a fair amount of creatures. We haven't yet. There we go. Here's somebody. So to be a mud corpse. Yep. Oh, and if you guys haven't seen the update yet, there is a speed change. You can change the speed that auto combat comes in to play. So if you guys are farming or just like a little faster action, you can crank it up to 10. If you want a little bit slower, if you get the messages that are actually on the top or at the bottom, you can read those. You can also change those in the setting. Of course, with our undead baddies, we do have in our stash or striker of sanctuary we could actually switch over. Because right now we're using a masterwork phoenix bow that has decent fire damage, decent piercing damage. But if we wanted to go to that extra routes and have 70% undead, we could certainly throw that on our rogue. And of course, we do have our other items that have undead. Of course, our warrior already has the 47% plus the poison stack and this big slice damage. Our knight, not so much. He's more of just physical damage. Nothing special on there. But if we wanted to, we can certainly, throw on this baptizer or even the broadsword that we have. That's 133. But again, that's kind of a low bit of damage, but that will do extra damage to them. But for the time being, I'm going to go ahead and leave this as is, because we are dealing with some physical forms. And these battlefield tunnels do get quite elaborate, and they do get quite large. But they should provide a decent amount of enjoyment. And we don't know their weakness. These are the ghouls that we need. We got 3 of them here. I am going to switch this over to Meteor for the heck of it. Now their mana probably would drop fairly soon, but look how, 400, 600 damage just right off the bat. Just this big hunking rock falling from the sky, killing things. You load the fight log here, you can see guides the meteor, 415 damage, 370, 430, just huge amounts of damage. And the more proficient you get into meteor, the more it is. 2,000 damage from our mage. That is outstanding. But again, that leaves our mana fairly low, because that, with the massive damage comes the massive cost of mana. Now, if you've stacked mana regen items on these two, that will certainly help. I'm going to go ahead and stick with lightning. I'm going to move him back over to magic missile that he's actually proficient on. And of course, we can always throw holy chants and dispatch them a little quicker with that. Everybody gets the holy damage on their melee and ranged attacks. Yeah, so we have a handful of them down. We just need a couple more to finish out our quest, if we can find them. That's a mud corpse there. Now, there may be a rare chance that you take this quest and you go to one tunnel and completely clear it, and only have a handful of them and you don't finish the quest in one shot. But normally, you'll get enough ghouls in one battlefield tunnel that you'll be able to finish the quest in one shot. Let's try to see if we could sneak around this mud corpse, but it doesn't look like we can. Yeah, quite a few of them down here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to switch over. I'm going to put Mana Rupture on our wizard here. There we go. Make it just a little bit more easier. There we go. We got a couple of ghouls here. These two battles should finish us out for that quest. Well, it looks like we got 3 groups there, so we'll definitely get this taken out. Now the ghouls, they do stun, they do a little bit of poison damage. Nothing shouldn't be too concerned about. Now if you have a relatively squishy tank or anything else like that that is getting surrounded quite a bit, you can always just run them around or throw resist poison on them. But again, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. There we go. We went ahead and completed our quest here. I'm going to go ahead and leave the tunnels as is, just for expediency's sake. Pull our map view, just double check our route. So it wasn't too far into it, but we did adventure quite a bit. Oh, we ran into a handful more on the paths that we already cleared. Looks like they're just kind of roaming the battlefield tunnel. Which is fine, it's just that little bit of extra experience. Not getting either gold or items. Although it would be kind of interesting, since these guys were warriors or mages at one time in the Great Battle, to have a handful of them provide some really good loot. And just have one of those rare chances to get some big weapon or a decent piece of jewelry from them. One of those prized possessions that the warriors clung to as they went into battle. Kind of took a beating there. Did quite a bit of damage to him. We are right there. I was surprised that that ghoul didn't step up and try to take us on before we got out of here. Go ahead and speak with Ultilis again. I'm going to do our class change. Of course, we've already changed our cleric over to a priest. So we don't have that option, but we did get the experience bonus. And that was enough to push us over on a level again. There we go. Alright, now the priest, we got plus 10% to Undead. Now we're sitting at about 86% as of right now. That is with our gear that we have and our native bonus to it. If you were to go Exorcist instead of Priest, instead of 10%, you would actually get 20%. So that would actually level up quite a bit, and especially if you're wandering around in the battlefield killing undead, definitely go ahead and put a decent weapon on your Exorcist, preferably like a baptizer that's two-handed. Big damage, has bonus to undead. The highest I've seen on these before is 65%. I don't know if that is the cap or if it can go higher. But of course you can get stabs that have over 100% damage to undead, which is always nice. So this number can get really big. So in certain fights, the Exorcist really does well. And again, there's always that ability, like I was saying, with the Geomancers. The Exorcist can pick up the Meteor spell too. So not only they're going to have Magic Missile, they're going to have the Meteor spell, they have a big two-handed weapon they're crushing enemies with, but they have a huge undead bonus and a life bonus for leveling up. Now with that actually does conclude our guild quests. And while we're here in this town, there's a couple of things that we can explore. One in particular is a nice little guy that just kind of offers us training and a skill we haven't used very much, but is extraordinarily helpful for no matter what the class is. And we just walk right over here. He's probably still out here even at night, next to this campfire. And if we talk to Orf, you know, he gives us a happy sounding grunt. But he gets wood, and he loves his job. He loves getting the pine out of the mountains. But he's used to the elements, and he's taken a liking to them, and is resistant. Now, he trains us, and Endure Elements will actually give us an increase to fire, cold, electricity, and poison. And it's passive. This is huge, that it's passive. So this is something that everybody should be trained on. And I normally try to put a couple of proficiencies in it right now. I'm going to go ahead and toss quite a few of these in here for the time being, at least getting 1 or 2 proficiency levels out of them. That way everybody is just that much better with elements coming up. I'll throw that 4 in there, that's the only one he had. And it just adds that little bit better survivability. And this is one of the only skills that I really say invest as many points as you want into, because it just adds that level of survivability. Everybody can use resistance. And it's just like with the armor. If you put the resistance in, for every 100 points in resistance, it's going to have the total and then the damage resistance based off of that. It's always good to have. And there are a couple of characters that get natural resistances, like such as the Barbarians, or even the Druids, and a little bit of the Geomancers. They'll come out with 50, 60% that you can push them over 100% with the Endure Element skill. And of course the other option is to stack resistance on items. There are some very wonderful pieces of jewelry, rings, capes that all have resistance. And I don't think I've paid too much attention to resistance on many of my guys. See, there's cold resistance. You stack them. And they stack in layers too. So if you stack items, for instance, you always see the little tip at the bottom that says if you have 2 items that are of 50% resistance of the same element, they stack in layers to 75%. And that occurs. And so there's a little bit of a diminishing return when it comes to stacking items, but again, the more the merrier. Alright, again, I do want to thank you for joining us with the Dungeons of Chaos playthrough. We just finished out our Guild Quest Saga for all the extra guilds and specifications classes that we can go into. If there's any questions, feel free to get onto the Facebook page, ask there. Myself, Volker, or any other knowledgeable fan that is enjoying the game might be able to answer in a very expedient manner. Or if you feel like messaging me in the videos or privately, go ahead and do that. Again, if you are enjoying the game, give us a like and a share. Spread the Dungeons of Chaos goodness. With this completion of the Guild Saga, we're going to go ahead and resume back in with the Chapter 2 storyline and get that finished out.